My one-person virtual law firm is in its 5th year. It's crazy to think that I've been solo for half a decade. And in this video, I'm going to share with you some sensitive information that a lot of y'all have been wanting for a while now, which is how much my virtual law firm has made each year. I'm not going to lie, this is a real full circle moment that I'm feeling right now as I'm recording this, because I distinctly remember posting my first video on Law Venture about the pros of starting a virtual law firm. And at the time, everything I was saying, while it was sound logic, was still to some degree just theory. And so if you're wondering whether or not a virtual law firm can work from beginning to end, I'm here to tell you it absolutely can, and that's why this video is a potential game changer. And now it's 5 years later, and I'm going to present to you some data in this video for you to figure out for yourself on whether or not that theory is now validated. Full disclaimer though, I am going to confess that I am very reluctant to record a video like this, because on one hand, the amount of money and attorney's fees that my law firm has brought in is none of your business. I feel no obligation in order to share this information with the public on YouTube. On the other hand though, I do love the idea of helping to inspire another lawyer who's maybe watching this to go solo, to start their own virtual law firm on a budget, to have the autonomy that we all strive to have in our professional career. By the way, one way I am reconciling this video and this internal conflict that I have on posting or not posting is because I do feel like my law firm, when you see the numbers especially, is rounding that corner and making that type of identity transition. Years 1 through 5 felt like, okay, I have a business that's a startup, and is this a viable business? Like, is this something that I can get not only up and off the ground, but can I have it be an established business, right? Going from the rookie startup stage and transitioning to the established veteran stage. And so I feel like the first 5 years are a good indicator, because it gives you a lot of data points on, is this something that's viable? Is this something that can become established? Versus year 6 and beyond, I don't ever see myself sharing the growth in that regard, or like the attorney's fees generated 6 years and beyond, because at that point, I don't think it's going to be as beneficial for a lot of the Law Venture community that's watching this and wondering, not only can you start a virtual law firm, but how can you get past that startup phase? Before throwing any numbers your way, there are some things that I need to make absolutely clear for context. Number one, I am sharing with you the attorney's fees generated by my law firm, not my personal income, not the profit that is ultimately determined after expenses. These are going to be the vanity numbers, right? The revenue that a lot of people love sharing in order to have the highest possible number to share. I'm just sharing these vanity numbers, these metrics with you, so you can make a determination on what is going to be the best route for you if you're wanting to have certain levels of expenses that factor into the equation. That then takes me to the second point, which is that if you want to get a sense of my expenses, I do have a video that I'll slide above that I posted fairly recently, where you can see how much money I'm spending on average every month. And it's gone up over the years, but hasn't gone up too much. I'm actually very, very proud of my profit margin and the ROI that I have, which I think is going to be significantly more than probably most lawyers and law firms based on how low my expenses are. Number 3, the most amount of attorney's fees that I've received from a single case settlement is $130,000 in the last 5 years. This is so important for you to understand, because when I tell you each year's attorney's fees, I want it to be very clear that my last 5 years have been built on relatively smaller cases with some amount of volume. This is so important because I don't want you to think, okay, you have to go find a $1 million case each and every year. In reality, it's much easier than that. You can find smaller cases, have great success on those smaller cases, and watch the word of mouth scalability continue to increase. And so when you hear this detail, just know that this is far more attainable, smaller cases at volume, than trying to hunt with the big dogs and find the bigger cases at much less volume where the competition is the highest. And by the way, this touches on a previous point that I just really want to emphasize for those that are watching right now. Please put your ego aside and keep your expenses at the bare minimum, especially at the earliest stages, because if you are collecting these smaller cases at volume, you're going to get way better of your return on investment, way better profit margin if your expenses are just bare minimum in comparison to what your competition's doing. Your competition, if they have higher expenses, they're having to go gun those higher cases and get those just to survive. Meanwhile, if you keep your expenses low, you're going to do just fine on what is going to be more readily available, which are smaller cases that can always lead naturally through word of mouth referrals to larger cases. Point number 4, my entire 5 years have been built 100% on word of mouth referrals. I've spent $0 in order to acquire a client. In past videos, I've walked y'all through how there can be the compounding effect with word of mouth referrals. I'll slide one of those videos above so you can check that out. Number 5, for most of the 5-year time period, I've been a one-man show, one-person business. There's only an exception of 6 months where I did have a case manager, but that didn't really pan out. And as you know, with my one-person business, I'm 100% virtual. And I think I'm probably the most extreme, but also best example of how a virtual law firm can succeed. 99% of my clients in the last 5 years, the foundation and core of my business is located in Austin, Texas, where I was originally located when I went solo. But year 2, I think, maybe year 3, but I'm pretty sure year 2 is when I moved to Dallas, Texas. I've made no effort to have any kind of footprint in Dallas because I've been so busy with all of my Austin cases coming in. So I'm not even living in the same city that is core to my business success right now. So if you're wondering on whether or not you can grow a virtual law firm from afar, I'm proof of it. I know I went through so much foundation, a lot of context, and there are going to be people watching this video that are like, Jared, I just want to know the numbers.
Where's the money?
Jared.
I'm just curious. I just am nosy. Like, just share the numbers. You just wasted all my time watching up until this point. This video isn't for you. If you leave a comment like that, like, you're just helping my algorithm. This video is for the lawyer that needs that context because they're trying to best assess on whether or not they have what it needs with either confidence, with financial runway in order to go solo, and that context and that foundation is for them. But now it's time to actually get into the nosy details, the none of your business numbers on the top level attorney's fees. So let me inch over here and Vanna White the best way I can. I want Victor, my editor, to start kind of creating a space here to put these dates and numbers so you can kind of see everything listed out. Let's start with 2020. This is the first full year of being solo with my virtual one-man shop law firm. Keeping in mind, I went solo September 2019. So if you want to see the income that I generated during that 2019 period, I'll slide a link above, and you'll see in that video where I make it clear that the first 10 months was over $100,000 in attorney's fees. That was a big win. You're going to see that carry over when I just talk about 2020 as a whole. So 2020, the attorney's fees generated, I'm going to round down to $80,000. Massive win. I'm so proud about that number because 2020 was a pandemic. It was the peak of the pandemic. People weren't going anywhere. And people were wondering whether or not they would have any income to keep the lights on. And for context, the prior year in 2019, before going solo, my salary was $50,000. So not only did I hit my salary, hit my lifestyle, but it was also able to make more than that. Granted, there were expenses at the time, but in 2020, my business expenses were like $125 a month. There's a video on that may have slid earlier that you may have to check out down below. So this was the ultimate balling on a budget timeline. One thing to stress though, with any type of personal injury practice, my PI people, they know this. There is a lag time with personal injury cases. You can sign up all the cases you want in, let's say, January of a particular year, but you have no idea when those cases are ultimately going to pay out and those attorney's fees are going to come in. Treatment's going to be different. Situations are going to be different based on complications of the case. The timeline is just going to be just up in the air in a lot of situations. So not only was it, okay, accumulate $80,000 in attorney's fees, but it's also sign up cases so that the following year can pay out as well and we can continue the growth. That then takes us to the following year. 2021, $212,000. That's me rounding down. And so that we can have a round number to work with here. $212,000. That was a massive win because not only is it a scenario where I'm signing up more cases, but I'm also starting to see that lag time start to come into fruition. And in that scenario, it's like, okay, the cases that were more complicated in the prior year of 2020, they're now maybe a year later starting to pay out. And that hard work is starting to pay off, but I'm still simultaneously signing up cases in 2021 so that there can be potentially lag time and attorney's fees coming in future years as well. 2022, I'm going to round this one to $130,000. Ironically, this was probably my favorite year because I was signing up cases that I knew would result in an uptick in attorney's fees. This was something to where when you're in the trenches and you're seeing the cases coming in, you just know, okay, there is going to be upside. And the question is not if, but when these attorney's fees come in, whenever you handle the case appropriately, how it needs to be handled and ultimately pays out. So yes, $130,000 is definitely a step down from the $212,000 from 2021, but this one was very exciting because I could see the level of cases coming in. And I do want to stress this, that at this point, 2020, I'm signing in a lot of chiropractic cases. 2021, a lot of chiropractic cases, but some of those 2020 cases where those clients are super happy with what I was able to provide, they're starting to refer their family and friends. And their family and friends, that case value is starting to go up compared and relative to the chiropractor referrals that were coming my direction. So that's kind of like I'd say the hierarchy is like a lot of chiropractic cases that are coming your way. They're not always, I'd say for the most part, going to be like high value cases, but the family and friends of those clients, those tend to be higher value because those typically are going to be ones where the family or friends hear about the injuries much more quickly than if someone's going to a chiropractor, right? Family or friend knows that somebody just went to the hospital because they were in a hardcore wreck, then family or friend's like, you got to call Jarrett. That case is probably going to have more value than somebody who's like, oh, I'm still a little sore a week later from this car wreck. Maybe I'll just go to the chiropractor down the street and that chiropractor refers that case to me. So this is what's starting to happen, is that compounding effect with word of mouth referrals that I was mentioning earlier and referring that video to you, but I don't think I can slide it again twice. So that may be something that you have to link down below. 2023, the bow in 2022 has been pulled back a little bit, but the question is that going to launch us forward? And the answer is yes. 2023, I'm going to round this to $385,000. And so at this point, it's like I'm seeing not only the compounding effect from word of mouth referrals, but I'm also seeing the lag time starting to benefit from that, to where it's like, okay, not only am I signing up all these cases, but they're starting to pay. And the ones that are larger cases, which take more time to build up, those are starting to come to their resolution as well. Because oftentimes the larger cases that ultimately pay more, those cases either pay super quickly, but at a small amount because it's high damage, low policy limits are tendered. Okay, here's a little bit of money because it's a minimum policy. Those cases are super quick. The ones where it's high damages, but also high policy limits, those situations, those take more time because you have to build the case up for its true value. And now I'm starting to see some of that effect going on in 2023. 2024, this year, which isn't over yet, I'm just gonna say over $500,000. So when you see these numbers, best Vanna White impersonation, when you see these numbers, I want you to actually hopefully be super inspired because I'm not asking you to go find the next big case. Instead, the requirement that I have for myself to have this type of success is I need to go have a network of smaller cases to help be the groundwork that lead to larger cases. Obviously, I'm just one lawyer with a law firm, and this is just a single example of what can be achieved with a virtual law firm that handles personal injury cases. But if you're wondering, as a personal injury lawyer, like, Jarrett, how did you achieve this? Like, how were you able to take it from 0 to year 5? And there are a couple resources if you're a personal injury lawyer that you may be interested in, because I'm trying to share what's here with the audience. I don't want to say what's there, but you don't really see what I'm looking at. So 2 resources to check out if you're a personal injury lawyer. The first one is my baby, my online course, the PI Playbook. And in that course, I walk you through how I grew my law firm on a budget solely on word of mouth referrals. But I do want to address a lot of the messages that I've received, and even though I haven't replied to all of them, I've seen them, where a lot of people, they check out the course and they message me asking for a reduction in price. And it's just, I want to say this the kindest way I can. It's just not going to happen. Because when I look at the potential outcome of implementing these strategies and seeing what I've been able to achieve relative to the course price, my mindset isn't how much should I reduce this course price. My mindset is, I think this may be too cheap because of what can be achieved with it. The second resource that you should check out is a free resource if you're a plaintiff's lawyer, and it's a community that I'll link down below. This is like I feel like Facebook is kind of a taboo social media form right now, but this is kind of like a Facebook/Reddit that's free and for plaintiff lawyers, so we can start putting our collective energy together to start sharing information. And this is where I'm going to be posting a lot of my litigation strategies in the future, once kind of my workload decreases a little bit more and I have a little bit extra free time. I've already posted in the community, and it's free. It's just like, if you're a plaintiff's lawyer, you can go access what I've already shared. It's been templates, it's been strategies, but I've already shared the recent theory of a strategy for UIM cases. And it's cool seeing other lawyers implement those strategies and getting great results from it. So it just inspires me to want to share more strategies that I've been implementing. And I hope to see other lawyers sharing other strategies as well. I think just that could be such a great resource and a great tool for other plaintiff lawyers. Again, I'll emphasize it again, free. If you're a plaintiff lawyer, there's no reason not to sign up and check it out. I think there's probably one more thing to address, and that is what's to come from this series that I'm creating around virtual law firms and what can be achieved. There's going to be a couple other videos that stem from this video. The first one is going to be why my law firm is coming to an end. Not in the immediate future, but I've decided that the countdown has begun. I'm just going to tease that for now. We'll talk about that in the video. And then another video that I want to release is how I've been able to get better results working less. And that I feel like is going to hopefully be a different mindset that can reframe what we've been conditioned as type A law students of, you got to always work hard. You got to always teeter with burnout or just flirt with burnout. And what I've come to find out is sometimes you can work less and get better results. And I'll share that in an upcoming video as well. That is officially all I have. I have no idea how long this video is going to be, but I hope you found it valuable. If you did, hit that like button down below. It allows videos like this to rank higher so we can reach more people, help more people. If you're not subscribed yet, you know the drill. That's somewhere down there. And with all that said, I'll see you in the next one.